Welcome to the Strpd Club, the podcast that strips away the noise and dives deep into the real, raw conversations every man needs to share.
And welcome to another episode of the Strpd Club. Thank you for sticking it out with me. And I'm back solo. So I just wanted to get you guys to listen to a little bit about money, ego, and identity, and men, and us really looking at it as our bank account. You know, when you ask a man, who are you? You know, most of the time you would find him answering with what he does, right? He would typically say, I'm an accountant, I'm in construction, I run a business. Really, and this is really, you'll hear a man say, I'm a father, or I'm someone who loves deeply. Really using those descriptors, hardly ever. That really made me stop and think. Why is it that so many of us define ourselves by our work, our income, our ability to provide? And when did our worth as men get reduced down to a dollar sign? Had me thinking. Right? So today I want to have a real conversation. I want to have a real conversation about something that I know weighs heavy on a lot of men, even when we don't talk about it. You know, I go through it. And this episode is called Money, Ego, and Identity. And the dangerous lie that your bank account determines your value as a man. Deep breath. Because let me keep it real with you. I've been on both sides of this. I've had seasons in my life, you know, when money was flowing. I was on top of the world. Business was booming. I was traveling. I was all over. I was taking care of everyone. And on the surface, I felt like I was on top of the world. You know, people respected me back then. Or at least I felt so. They looked up to me. Personally, I felt untouchable. But on the flip side, I've also had seasons where things slowed down. I wasn't bringing in what I used to. Bills started to stack up. And when life hit me with challenges, I didn't see coming. And you know what? You know what happened? My confidence dipped, believe it or not. My energy dipped. I even started questioning myself as a man. And here's the truth. It wasn't even about survival. You see, my kids, they still had food on the table. We still had a roof over our heads. Well, in this case, 2 roofs. But my ego was bruised. See, because in my head, I had bought into that lie that if I can't provide at a certain level, that maybe I'm not enough. So let's talk about why this happens from a man's perspective. And it's part of our culture. You see, society has told us that from the beginning, a real man provides. And if you're not a provider, then what are you? Comes back to that word failure. Part of it is also what we saw growing up, right? Maybe you had a father who killed himself working just to keep food on the table. Or maybe your father wasn't there at all. And now you've sworn that you will never let your family struggle the way that you did. Lucky for me, that isn't my case, right? And on the other side, we could be honest, part of it is ego, right? Like how it feels when people see us. We like that man with money vibe. We like being respected, admired, sometimes even feared because of what we have. But here's the danger, right? And listen up. I'm going to give you a tip here. When money is your identity, then every financial loss feels like a personal loss. You lose your job, you just don't lose income, you lose yourself. Go through a divorce. I did. And suddenly you're questioning your worth as a man. Can't provide at the level you want. Now you're carrying a shame that nobody even asked you to carry. And that's real, guys. I want you to think about that. Because I've seen this break men. I've seen it break men, some of my good friends. I've seen brothers who stopped showing up for their kids because they couldn't afford to provide enough. I've seen men lose their marriages, not because they didn't love their wives, but because, I don't know, because they couldn't separate the worth from the wallet. And it was at that time I also saw men sink into depression, not because they weren't good men, but because they let money, or the lack of it, tell them that they were failures. And let me tell you something that might sting you a little. You see, your kids, they don't love you for your bank account. Your real friends, they aren't riding with you because of what you can buy. And God isn't checking your balance before he calls you his son. So today I'm going to challenge you with a hard question. And if we stripped all the money away, no car, no watch, no house, no titles, who are you? Can you still look in the mirror and say, I'm enough? Can you still stand tall and say, I'm a good man, I'm a father, I'm a brother, I'm a child of God, without needing money to validate it? Because here's the truth. If you need money to feel valuable, you'll never have enough. You'll always be chasing the next dollar, the next job, the next opportunity to prove that you belong. But when you know who you are, when your identity is rooted in something deeper than money, that's when you start to walk in real peace. So maybe it's time we redefine what success really looks like. Maybe success isn't just about the size of your bank account. Maybe it's about the peace you carry. Maybe it's about how present you are with your kids. Maybe it's about how you treat people you claim you love. Maybe it's about the legacy you leave behind, not the receipts in your wallet. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying money doesn't matter. Build your wealth, brothers. Chase your dreams. Provide for your family. But don't confuse your net worth with your self-worth. Because one can be taken away in a moment. The other, that's built from within. So next time you find yourself stressing over money, I want you to pause. Pause and ask yourself, am I letting my ego define me? Or am I standing in who I truly am? Fellas, you're not your job. You're not your income. You're not your possessions. You are who you are when the lights go out, when the applause fades, when nobody is clapping. And if that man can't still stand strong, still love deeply, and still hold his head high, then you've already won. I want to hear from you. Have you ever tied your identity to money? And how did it affect your relationships? How did it affect your mental health, your peace? Let's start that conversation. So drop a comment, share this with a brother that needs to hear it. Let's keep it real and let's keep it together. Because at the end of the day, you're worth more than your wallet. So until next time, my friends, as always, stay stripped.